And in such uncertain times, we are certain that the word of God, he has told us that heaven and earth will pass away, but his word will never pass away. So it's not the what that changes, it's now how we execute. Hey everybody, my name is Angie Murenga. You're watching Just Angie. It's Mwenye Inchi Monday, where we discuss all things governance. And today I want to have a conversation around the way the world has gone through this reset, and we've gone through a lot. But something that I recently had Dr. Tekla share is what my premise is going to be on, that there are so many things that God said about this year and this season. So that hasn't changed. So the what hasn't changed, it's the how that's changed. It's now the execution, of what we need to do. So I'm thinking even of bringing it closer home to myself. So like, what did God say? Like to the ministry, to the people who are in my ecosystem, he said that this was the year of fruitfulness. And he gave two scriptures, John 2 verse 1 to 11 and Genesis 49:22. So that hasn't changed, yeah? That is what God said. And in such uncertain times, we are certain that the word of God, he has told us that heaven and earth will pass away, but his word will never pass away. So it's not the what that changes, it's now how we execute it. And I'm thinking in my own life, there are so many things that I wanted to do. One of them was to write books. And this has given me that opportunity. But what happened is, I think when first we went into the quarantine, first of all, you're in shock. Then you're like, what's going on? Then you're listening to there's so many sources of information that are coming through. There are conspiracy theories. People are saying, switch on the movies, this channel, this minute. Hey, the drama was excess. We're listening all the time to the cabinet minister, the CS for health. By the way, he did such a amazing job, Honorable Mutahi Kagwe. You did a really great job. So there was all that going on. Then there was a settling. Then there was like, okay, so this thing is here. So what are we going to do about it? And then now you had to become almost the best version of yourself with the circumstances that you had. So the what hasn't changed. There's still going to be fruitfulness. And when I'm thinking even people who have been able to, offices, churches, people have now, the what remains the same. What they were supposed to do has remained the same, but it's how people are at home. They were doing work through the different platforms like Zoom, Microsoft Teams. People found new ways to execute the how, but the what remained the same. And I think that's the premise of my conversation, is that whatever God has said to you, whatever goals you had set out to do in this year, you must keep on track. What you need to know is the how. The execution may be different. So like for me, who wanted to write books and I had all these ideas, and I'm always talking about scheduling, and I know that it works for me. Scheduling works for some people, it doesn't work for others. Because this terms of governance is governance of self and governance of others. So I know that I need to schedule my time. So after I went through all the different phases and okay, what do we do now? I got into scheduling. So I've been able to schedule my time, able to put off the TV, and now begin to do things that need to be done. So this is the days I still went into there are days that I coach, there are days that I'm coaching people, there are days I have meetings, there are days I write, there are days I do research, there are days I read. So that now my scheduling went into action, but now I'm doing these things at home rather than in the office. As a matter of fact, the calls have been really encouraging, and the video calls, because there's a day I was able to do more calls than I usually do. I usually have, let's say, like 4 or 5 meetings. I think I was able to do 7 because I'm not moving. People are not moving. It's just where you are. We time it, we do it, we get it done, we move. So that's what we're saying. We're saying that the what hasn't changed. It's the how that's changed. And in this season, you need to be creative and you need to be asking God, what do I do? How do I do it? This is what you said. So what's the how? I know I've been seeing a lot of memes that are saying, we need a reset of this year. I've been seeing funny ones saying that this year, somebody even wrote one, God, please, can we reset 2020 because it has a virus, honestly. But the whole idea is that we can, if God promised fruitfulness, then fruitfulness it's going to be. We're not at the end of the year. We haven't reached there. We are in the 5th month, but we are not at the end of the year. So sometimes I think we already begin to prophesy doom and see doom and get stuck in doing nothing because the circumstances or the environment has changed. And what I'm saying in terms of good governance is that cannot change. You see, even with the crisis and everything that has happened, everyone has had to deal. If I think of like the Ministry of Health, they couldn't just abandon, lift up their hands in surrender and say we've given up. Things still had to continue. So it's the how. It's how they did things that changed. And I think that's the premise of what I'm trying to say. First of all, the year has not ended, so please don't be prophets and prophesy doom. We don't know how it's going to end, but we do know that God gave a word, and whatever word He gave you, it is going to come to pass. But now it's the how. So we need to get in the how. What do we do, and how do we do it? I think I remember thinking, how are they going to send millennials home and make sure that they do the work? But the how is amazing. You know, maybe people are calling in after maybe every 2 or 3 hours. You have to call in. You have to get assignments done. So people are being given assignments, and you have to report on those assignments. I actually think in a way that this has been really efficient. It's really gotten things done. I was talking to a HR practitioner who was telling me that they've even now been able to look at and see what, what actual people they need to actually do the work. Because there are people I think who have been riding along, on others, and it's a team effort. So now that the team cannot work together as such, and now individuals have to deliver on the assignment, then now we're able to see who is actually doing the work and who is not. So I'm really grateful for this reset because it's going to change the how. The only thing that changes is the how, is the execution and not the what. And I'm amazed because the other thing that God said to us in this year was that this was our season, not only the year, but over the next 10 years, to turn our dreams into a reality. And so it's not what, the dream is still there, the vision is still there, but it's the how. How do I do this now? What are the new ways that I can engage on the assignment that God has given me, or on what I had, or the plans that I had made, and how I want to execute them? It's now to go into the how and reset on what we do. For one, I guess also, and I'm sure a lot of people are having that conversation, is what is going to be normal after this. There's going to be now a new normal. What's going to be normal? What is going to change by the time we go back to the normal? What are the changes? What are the things that we don't have to go back to? And what are the things that we have to go back to? But let me stick to my story of the how. So the what hasn't changed, it's the how. God bless you, and see you next Monday.